Good morning, card community. It is RJ. It is Sunday, July the 17th by my calendar, by my reckoning. I am pre-recording this video, as I have informed you in the past. I am on vacation this week and not going to be doing trivia or recaps or things like that, showing off Mike Schmidt stuff. Like I did last year when I went on vacay, I thought I'd go through an entire set that I'm a fan of from the past, go over all the players, how the set was formed, some little backstories about various things, and just to put something up every day. While I'm on vacay, it's not too hard for me to say upload and to let you guys see something. So that's what I'm doing today. And I have chosen the 1983 Topps set. 1983 was a great set for me because it was the first set I ever completed. When I was a kid, I collected from 1978 through 1984 by opening packs. Took a break from collecting until about 87 when I bought a full set. Found card stores and got really back into collecting from the late 80s into about 93, right in the middle of the junk wax era. I got back into everything. The height of the national craze for card collecting, the first national craze. I think, frankly, we're back in a second national craze about card collecting at the moment. But the late 80s, early 90s was the first national craze of card collecting. So 83 was the first one after I got back into it that I went around and found card shops and actually was able to complete the set. Tell you more about that as we go along. Want to highlight what the set was. Standard Topps product at the time, cardboard cards, packs of 15 for, I don't know, 50 cents to 75 cents, depending upon where you bought them. Always less than $1. Never anywhere near $1 for a pack of cards. And again, you got 15 per thing, plus the stick of gum. There was a little scratch-off game card that came with it that year. Don't know how often it's easy to find those. I do not have one. Could get it in rack packs, I believe. Certainly vendor packs, which were a little thicker, cellophane packs or whatever. I don't think they were doing complete sets just yet. This was the second year they didn't do team cards. They did a league leader, or a team leader image on the front with the team checklist on the back, but there wasn't a team image. We'll see that as we go through. And basic stuff, no parallels. The year before Tiffany came out in 84. So no Tiffany, just your basic card set. No parallels, no fancy stuff, no inserts, no random nothing. Good old-fashioned card collecting in its day. So, like I said, when I get through it, the first thing I'm going to do today, first day, show off the different types of cards because there were different types. So this is your basic card, my Mike Schmidt card of the set. Big image with a little circular portrait shot for all of the basic ones. Team name, position, and team itself. There was a different color scheme for each team. Back was standard Topps format. Always had, this one typically had a little bio at the bottom, if there was room, that said about interesting things this player accomplished during the 82 season. So a little one-line or two-line sentence about what happened on a certain date in 82 that this player did of note. And again, all the other stats for Topps. Some of the more veteran guys, let me just drop something in a second. Some of the more veteran guys had a card literally called the Super Vet, which would show an image of them from one of their earlier years, list their first year of professional baseball. Schmidt's first year was a couple of games. Let's look at it on the back. I think it was 18 games, 13 games. 13 games in 72. And obviously this is what he looked like in 83. So you had the Super Vet cards, and it talked about, different things in his career. So a lot of the star players had the Super Vet cards, as Topps would always do. They had their All-Star card. Somehow they had a card marked with an All-Star logo. Sometimes it was on the base card. They had an All-Star logo. In this case, they had a subset for every position, and Schmidt was the starting third baseman in '82. And then on the back, it would talk about a great game, one of the great All-Star games. There were league leader or record breaker cards at the beginning, as often happened for Topps. Something that happened in '82, a league leader card, or a record breaker card, I should say. They did also have the league leader cards, which was becoming a regular thing for Topps. This is Carlton's winning. He had led the league in wins that year. Again, the team card was not a team card. It was a team batting and pitching leaders. In other words, Bo Diaz, who was the catcher in '82, led our team in batting average at 288. And Steve Carlton led our team with the lowest ERA, 3.10 that year. So that was the team checklist, believe it or not, because if you look on the back, this is the team checklist. This card is from my childhood. That's why it's so absolutely beat up on the edges. I don't care. It's my childhood card. They had a manager card, dedicated manager card for each team, which was not something you often found in Topps, but it did come by occasionally. And this would have that player's, or that manager's, both his career major league record, if available, and then his major league manager record, if applicable. And then, of course, as Topps did for the longest time, your basic checklist card. So there you have it. And actually, this is the one that had Schmidt's name on it. So that's the basics of the set. So I'm going to show you each card in the set. I pulled this record breaker out. Going to put it back. We're going to go through the 1983 Topps card this week. I understand if not, people aren't interested, but this gives me something to do, something to post every day. So, I mean, I think last year I got about maybe 10 views a day, which I understand. So, be that as it may, here we go. So, the record breakers. Start with Tony Armas, great infielder, long-time player. Was around for a very long time, had some pop. It said he was recorded 11 putouts in right field to set the new mark. So apparently in one game he did 11. He was involved in 11 putouts. You know, the former mark of 10 was held by Bill Nicholson back in '45, and Sixto Lezcano in '77. So more than any other right fielder in history, Tony Armas was lucky enough to play in a game when a lot of people were hitting it right field, I suppose. Rickey Henderson, most steals in one season. Without looking, I know it was 130 he did. That beat Maury Wills' record. That was because in '82, he played for the A's, and Billy Martin was the manager of the A's, and Billy said, you got the green light. Anytime you want to steal, you steal. So he led the league in steals, but he also led the league in getting caught the most. So Rickey was running all the time. Of note here, it looks like Cal Ripken's in the background here. You know, I'm not sure if this is Cal, but it looks like he's leading off a second here and thinking about stealing. I do not know for certain that is Cal. Interesting picture, though. Another one, Greg Minton. I don't know a lot about Greg Minton. I know he was around for several years, but he hurled 269 and a third consecutive innings without allowing a home run. Well, congrats to Greg Minton on that. Larry Parrish threw out 3 base runners in an all-star game. Well, you know, I'm not sure if that tells you that most people in the all-star game don't bother stealing. Because if you think about it, why bother stealing when you got people behind you who are all superb batters? Just let them hit the ball. But anyway, a lot of people were running on Lance Parrish, and he gunned down 3 people in the all-star game in '82. Manny Trio of the Phillies fielded 479 consecutive errorless chances to set the mark for second baseman. And John Wathan, 31 stolen bases as a catcher. So those were your record breakers. John Wathan, shout out to John over at The Past is Alive. John and Eric's favorite player, John Wathan. Then you get into some of the players. So here we go. Gene Richards, outfielder for the Padres. Was a Padre for a while. I think it was an A at one time. No, Padres all the year time. Steve Balboni. One of those guys who had occasional pop and you thought to yourself he was going to be a good player, but never amounted to much, really. Joey McLaughlin, a Blue Jays pitcher? No, nothing about him. Gorman Thomas, great, big, burly kind of a guy for the Brewers for many years. Had occasional pop. He hit 20, 30 home runs occasionally here and there. Definitely a long-time member of the Brewers, probably in their Hall of Fame. Billy Gardner was the Twins manager in '82. Paul Mirabella of the Rangers, no idea about him. Larry Herndon, quality player, all-star occasionally for the Tigers. Frank LaCourte, pitcher for the Astros, I know nothing about him. Ron Cey, the Penguin, a longtime member of the Dodgers, that classic Dodgers infield. Steve Garvey at first, Davey Lopes at second, Bill Russell at short, Ron Cey at third. Cey and Mike Schmidt share the rookie card in '73, along with John Hinton, if I remember correctly, from the Padres. Very funny. That poor Mr. Hinton stuck on that for if he wanted his rookie card. Cost him a fortune. George Vukovich. Interesting. There's a guy named George Vukovich. John Vukovich was also a Phillies player at one time. And then there's a guy named Pete Vukovich for the Brewers. I don't think any of them were related, though. It's just an odd to see. I mean, Vukovich is, I'm sure it's not an uncommon name, but it's not a common name. And three players playing in the same time, and not one of them were related with the name of Vukovich. Just an interesting oddity, I think. Kent Tekulve, the great sidearm pitcher, always with the glasses, too. He was long enough to have a super vet card here. You can see his early picture, later picture. He was a Philly eventually, back in the mid to late 80s. He moved on to the Phillies. I think he ended his career with the Reds. Oscar Gamble was a Philly at one time, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think he was just on the Phillies 1 year there. Let me pull his card out and take a look real quick. Early in his career, 70, 71, and 72, he was on the Phillies. The Oscar Gamble was around a long time. Just a DH outfielder, just a quality sub or occasional guy. Carlton Fisk, Hall of Famer, obviously. White Sox, interesting. He did not warrant a super vet card. If you look at Kent Tekulve, had a super vet card, and he was started in '74. Fisk's rookie card was '72, which meant he played in '71. I think he would have worn a super vet card over Kent Tekulve, frankly. Orioles leaders at the time, great Hall of Fame card if you think about it. You had Eddie Murray and Jim Palmer for the Orioles that year. They would win the World Series against my Phillies in '83, so interesting card there. Randy Mertz for the Cubs, no idea. Mike Heath, I like Mike Heath as a quality utility player for the A's. He just looked like a guy who was always around, getting good at bats. Steve Murrah for the Cardinals, don't know nothing about him. Hal McRae, great Royals player for many, many years. Quality batter. He was a hitting coach for the Phillies in Terry Francona's early run in the mid-'90s as a manager of the Phillies. His son Brian played. He was Hal was manager of the Royals at one time. Jerry Royster, quality utility player for many teams. Here he is with the Braves. Doug Corbett, don't know much about Doug Corbett for the Angels. Bruce Bochy. Now, this is not the Giants manager. It's interesting. There are two players, both named Bruce Bochy, but the spelling's different. This is Bruce Bochy, outfielder, first baseman for the Mariners. And there's another guy named Bruce Bochy, obviously, was a catcher for a couple different clubs in his career, and ended up being a manager, longtime manager for the Giants, maybe a Hall of Famer because he got those 3 World Series, 2010, 12, and 14. So it's possible Bruce Bochy is going to be the Hall of Fame, but that's not that Bruce Bochy. I think the other one is in here somewhere. We'll have to find out. Randy Jones, pitcher on the Mets, was actually, he won the Cy Young in '76 for the Padres, and he was still kicking it this time. That's another guy you wonder, when was his first year? It was '72. He could have made a super vet card. Jim Rice, Hall of Famer for the Red Sox. Bill Gullickson, quality starter in the '80s. Was around for many years. Nothing fantastic, just a quality starter. Dave Bergman, again, quality player for many years for a number of teams. The Giants this year. Jack O'Connor, pitcher for the Twins. Don't know anything about Jack O'Connor. Paul Householder. Raleigh Fingers on the Brewers. Remember, the Brewers were in that World Series in '82. Lost to the Cardinals, but they were there. They call them Harvey's Wallbangers because I believe Harvey Kuhn was the manager. Raleigh warranted a super vet card, no doubt. He was started playing in '68. Darrell Johnson, longtime manager for a number of clubs. He was at the Rangers at this time. Tim Flannery from the Padres. Tim was another one of those guys who was just around for a long time. Don't know much about him, though. Terry Poole, great quality player for the Astros, I thought. He was with the Astros in that 1980 playoff NLCS. Great playoff that year with us and the Phillies and the Astros. So Terry Poole is a quality outfielder. Never amazing, never breakout, never all-star quality, I don't think, but he was around for a number of years in the 80s. Fernando, this would have been Fernando's third card. His rookie card was 81 when he took the world by storm. Here he is, getting a little pudgy now. Of course, he was always a little pudgy, wasn't he? Jerry Turner, another guy, was around for just, seemed like forever for a number of different teams. I thought it was the Padres for many years, but he hung on for a long time. Dale Murray. I always got Dale Murray confused with Dale Murphy, Dale Murray, Blue Jays pitcher. Bob Dernier, young player for the Phillies, went to a couple different teams in his career, came back with the Phillies later on. Don Robinson, 1983 Topps. Don Robinson in '87 would be the guy who served up while still in the Pirates, served up Mike Schmidt's 500th home run. John Mabry, longtime utility player for a number of teams. John Mabry Jr., I believe, played for the Phillies back in the late 2000s. He was on the 2009 Phillies, 2009, 10, 11, that there. But John Mabry Jr. was with the Phillies. Richard Dotson, don't know much about Richard Dotson. Dave McKay, a longtime player for a number of teams. Larry Sorensen, don't know much about Larry. Willie McGee. There's a couple big-time rookie cards in the '83 set that people know. You had Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, and Ryan Sandberg. But Willie McGee, that's Willie's rookie card too. Now, Willie is no Hall of Famer, but he was one of those, the Hall of Very Good. So he warranted himself, he should warrant himself more attention to his rookie card being as part of this set too. But here's Willie McGee's rookie. Bob Horner once hit 4 home runs in a game for the Braves, if I remember correctly. Unless that was Jeff Burrows. That's okay. Here's the Cubs league leaders. Fergie Jenkins still pitching quality for the Cubs. Leon Durham, unfortunately, had the distinction in '84 of letting that ball go right through his legs. That was one of the factors that led to the Cubs not making it to the World Series in '84. Instead, the Padres went. Onyx Concepcion, I always wondered if he was related to Dave Concepcion, but I don't think he was. Mike Witt threw a perfect game one year, I believe, with the Angels. Jim Mailer, don't know much about Jim Mailer on the Mariners. Mookie Wilson, obviously Mookie's claim to fame is that Buckner ball he hit in the '86 World Series. Chuck Rainey, don't know much about Chuck. Tim Blackwell, always loved Tim Blackwell's big, thick mustache. Let's zoom in on Tim Blackwell real quick. Look at that stash, man. That one's a thick lumberjack kind of a stash. I'll tell you. Go back to where we were. All right. Al Holland, they called him Mr. T when he pitched for the Phillies because Rocky III just came out that year in the A-team. He had that Fu Manchu mustache and beard combo. We always called him Mr. T. And he was our quality closer. He took over for Tug McGraw in '83 as the closer. Helped us get to the World Series that year. Benny Ayala. Johnny Bench, obviously, Hall of Famer, and his super vet card. Bob McClure of the Brewers. Rick Monday, long-time guy. He should have had a super vet card too, frankly. And Rick Monday saved the flag from those 2 kids who were going to burn it in the middle of a Cubs game one year. Shout out to Rick Monday. Bill Stein. Always looked old to me, Bill Stein. Let's zoom in real quick to Bill Stein. Just looked like an old player. Right next to Jack Morris. Still a young guy at that time in '83. On his way to a Hall of Fame career. Bob Lillis. Shout out to Lillis Rips. I don't think that's a relation to Bob, but who knows, right? Bob Lillis. Sal Batura, always a quality backup catcher. Sal was around for a long time because he was a good catcher. Eric Shao, it's pronounced Shao, not Show. Eric Shao gave up Pete Rose's record-breaking hit, gave up number 4152 to Pete Rose. So he passed Ty Cobb. Lee Lacy, quality utility outfielder, sometimes starter for a number of teams. There he is with the Pirates. He was with the Dodgers, the Braves, back again to the Dodgers, Pirates. Yeah. Lee Lacy played for a number of teams. Here's your Carlton base and super vet. Tom Pakarek. I can't remember exactly how you say that, but he was around for a number of years, Tom was. Alan Ripley, Julio Gonzalez. These are guys I'm not familiar with. Amos Otis, longtime player for the Brewers, who did a lot of damage to us in the World Series in 1980, but we were able to prevail. Rick Mailer, longtime pitcher, just a junk ball kind of a guy, nothing special, but he was good enough to hang around for many years. Hoskin Powell, know nothing about Hoskin Powell. Bill Caudill, know nothing about Bill Caudill. Mick Kelleher, don't know. George Foster on the Mets now. Almost sad. George was with the Reds teams many years, so he got a couple World Series rings with them. No slouch on George, but I guess he didn't hold on long enough to make the Mets '86 team. They're the Yankees. This is back in the void era from the Yankees, from 80, the entirety of Don Mattingly's career. This is just before Mattingly got on board. The Yankees were just pitiful. This was some of the players who were on the team when they were just pitiful. That's their checklist card. Bruce Hurst, longtime pitcher for a number of teams. There he is, the Red Sox. Ryan Sandberg, there's my Ryan Sandberg rookie card. It is not in quality shape. Badly miscut. I doubt the corners are any good. But that is my Ryan Sandberg rookie card. Let's go back. Milton A, quality long-term catcher for a number of teams. Ken Singleton. Always loved Ken Singleton on the Orioles. I thought he was a quality player, and frankly, I thought he deserved more recognition, but I guess, the numbers weren't that great. But I always loved Ken Singleton. Tom Hume, longtime in and out pitcher for a number of teams, starter, reliever, everything. Joe Rudy, still kicking it after all those years, back with the A's, because he was with the A's teams when they won 3 in a row back in the early 70s, and he's still around there. Probably just a utility bench player at this time. Jim Gantner, another one of those great Brewers longtime players. Leon Roberts. Jerry Royce. Jerry Royce suffered from the Steve Martin disease, where he was old before his time. He had that gray hair when he was like 30. He pitched forever, Jerry Royce. Jerry Royce deserved himself a super vet card. I don't know if is it next door? No, he deserved one. Larry Milbourne, longtime utility player for a number of teams. Mike Lacoste pitched for a long time for a number of teams. John Castillo, Dave Edwards, don't know much about those guys. Alan Trammell, Hall of Fame forever Tiger. Dick Hauser would lead the Royals to the World Series in '85. They would win. He was not the manager for the '80 team. They had Jim Fry at that time. Ross Baumgarten, is that what it says? Yeah, Baumgarten. Vance Law, I always liked Vance Law. Had the glasses, but was still a decent player. Just ended up being a utility guy. Wanted more out of him. One of those guys like, gee, if he can play baseball, so can I, Vance Law, Dickie Knowles, great Phillies. He was on the Phillies team back in '80 when they won the World Series. Famously knocked down George Brett with a high fastball to the head. Didn't hit him, but it got close. Let's put it that way. There's my Pete Rose card, and obviously Pete deserved a super vet. Dave Beard. That one's really chewed up. Maybe I'll get a different one. That's got a big crease in it down there. Darrell Porter. Darrell Porter to me is like the Ted Simmons of catchers. He's like, he deserves more attention for Hall of Fame. Or maybe it's just that he's like the Bob Boone. He was a catcher forever. Darrell Porter was around forever. And had some great years, quality catching years. But, you know, Bob Walk, people remember Bob Walk with the Pirates, but after going to the Phillies, he went actually to the Braves, and then up and down until he landed a full-time job at the Pirates. Don Baylor, obviously Don Baylor, everybody knows, was around forever with a number of teams. Gene Nelson, Mike Jorgensen, Glenn Hoffman. Remember Glenn Hoffman? I'm going to go just one more page here, guys, because there's 792 cards in this set. So Luis Leal, Ken Griffey on the Yankees. If you want an interesting story, look up a biography of Ken Griffey Jr. and Google Ken Griffey Jr. and the Yankees. Ken Griffey Jr. does not have a lot of fun things to say about the Yankees. And it was because of his time when his father was with the Yankees. And, you know, Ken's first year was 89, Ken Jr. So if this is 83, I mean, Kenny Griffey Jr. started at age 18 or 19. He was 19 with the Mariners. So if 89, he was 19. This is 83. He would have been about 12 or 13, he says in the stories. And he says he's not a fan of the Yankees. And you should watch that documentary where he talks about why. It's interesting. Al Oliver and Steve Rogers on the Expos. Al Oliver is one of those guys who should be in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully he'll make it someday. Bob Shirley, Ron Renicky. I always loved Ron Renicky. The name is just Renicky. Just odd, but he was a long-time utility player. James Slayton had some good years with the Brewers. Chili Davis, long-time utility outfielder, sometimes starter. Dave Schmidt and Alan Nicely, don't know. So I'm going to stop there. Hope you were able to stick with me through most of that. I know this is going to be a series of long videos, and I understand that most of you are not going to stick with me to the end, but this is what I do when I'm going away on vacation, have something to load up there for you, all right? All right, so if you're interested, and most of you won't be, but if you're interested, come back again tomorrow. I'll have part number 2 of the 1983 Topps set, all right? All right, thanks for watching. Take care.